Good morning, guys. Welcome back to Men's Talk Show. We appreciate you being here again today. Today, we're going to be talking about postpartum depression and how it affects men. We got our usual group of nomads here, our Wayne and Daron, joining us as usual. And then today we have our special guest, Mario Spano, who comes from California and from all over, actually. But we'll introduce him and give him a few minutes to talk about him and himself and where he's coming from and what he's up to right now.
Thanks, Chris. Happy to be here, guys. I just want to again say thank you for everything you do and the change that you're leading to. It's very resonant with what I'm doing in my life right now. So I know it's not easy. You guys are putting in a lot of work, as I am, into my projects. So thank you for what you do and keep it up. Super happy to be here. Appreciate the invite. My name is Mario and I'm 32. I'm currently in California. I am a home remodeler, a life coach. I would say, life coaching is so broad, so I will specify and say I am a new age spiritual supporter of people on a self-discovery and spiritual growth path. And more recently, I have started a project around men's mental health awareness. It's a brand called Speak Your Mind, the nonprofit mental health awareness brand meant to essentially do what you guys are doing, just kind of in a little bit hitting it from a different angle, which is closing the gap between men suffering in silence and men getting the help, learning how to speak up, get the help they need, and elevate into the best version of themselves, for themselves and for our community. And the whole goal of what I'm doing behind this brand is attempting to build community around educating and around changing stigmas and around making this change possible, and by holding a safe space for men to speak up. So that's where it comes from. And that's a newer project, and I'm super psyched about all the people. There's some incredible people who are getting involved and contributing, and people are psyched about it. I'm psyched about it. So I know Chris is psyched about it. He knows about it a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it's a little bit about what I'm doing, who I am. I also have a 3-year-old son named Oliver. He's the love of my life. And yeah, I've had quite the journey since his arrival. They say that your first kid changes a man, and he rocked my fucking world. So I'm really, really happy to be here and talk about postpartum depression for men, because it completely shook my existence. So thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk and answer any questions or dive in, get more specific, more detailed, and deeper as is desired.
We really appreciate you being here today, Mario. It's a great movement, and we'll make sure to share your link for your it's a Printify store, right?
Yeah, right now it's just Printify. I'm essentially still, it's very new, but I'm psyched to create it with people. I could do it all by myself, but I'm collaborating with a lot of different people to build the brand and create, the socials and all of that. But right now it's just a Printify pop-up that sells the gear. So yeah, I'll make sure you have that link too, just for anyone who wants to support and buy a t-shirt or a hoodie or a tank and rep the gear.
Yeah, absolutely. That's nice. I'm all about supporting.
Good, man. Appreciate it.
Now, do you have a socials that you're tracking the conversations that people are having? Because for me, when I see these clothes, it says like, let's talk. You know what I mean? Like the whole speak your mind movement. Is there a social following behind that people can follow as well and get on board and share their stories about conversations they've had while wearing the clothing, things like that? Or is that more just kind of in the future?
Yeah, it's all in the works. There's no social at the moment, but Speak Your Mind is probably going to be the handle. But yeah, right now the whole speaking aspect is the men's group that I just created on Meetup. So that's kind of like my attempt of, I've done life coaching for men only for a while, and I've noticed how hard it is for them to speak up, and how women just are more prone to get help, ask for help, and elevate themselves. So this men's group and this men's mental health awareness brand, Speak Your Mind, is kind of my mission for men, if you will.
That's awesome, man. And I actually just got my shirt the other day. It's bigger than I expected it to be. So unfortunately, I need to get a medium, but seems like really good quality clothes, man. Like really, really decent quality from what I could tell. So I'm excited to get a few more products and rep that merch, man.
Cool. I'll send you a medium, brother.
Sweet, man.
Send me your large, or when we'll meet up someday and you can give me your large, or
Yeah,
give
we'll
your large
swap
to someone else, man. Just hold on to it and give it to someone. I'll get you a medium.
That's what I was thinking, man. I'm gonna go give it to somebody and get a conversation started with it. So it's not wasted, that's for sure.
Yeah, good. I'm looking for people like you, man, who are like educated and psyched about helping this cause. That's the people that I want to wear this on their back, is people who, like, when I bought my van the other day, the guy at the dealership was like, take time, speak your mind. Like, he read the back of my shirt. He was like, I like that. I was like, my man. So those are the people that I tell, like, and that's the speaking point. And that's why it's an apparel brand, because people are like, I like that. And then I'm like, oh, thanks, man. It's a men's mental health awareness brand to raise awareness to the fact that 80% of suicides are men, like, bam, like that starts the conversation. People are like, oh shit, like,
I love it, dude.
Yeah,
I love it, man. That's so awesome, brother.
Absolutely, because that's kind of like, I love what you're doing, because that's exactly what we're doing as well. We're like, we're creating this community for guys to come out and speak, saying I said the men's talk show, right? So you come out here and you talk, or, people tell us their stories. It's the same things. Like, so many men are afraid to have those conversations because they don't want to looked at as being weak, or not manly enough, because of the perception that only women talk about those things. So I really appreciate what you're doing, and glad you're here with us.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, likewise. We are glad to have you. We appreciate what you're doing, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, man. Will do. Feels really good. As you guys know from what you're doing, the messages you get, like you said, they're deep and they're meaningful to people. And it's a lot of work that we're putting in, and there's no like direct reward right now, tangible reward. But yeah, the men's group, the first meeting, there were two older gentlemen in Santa Monica, and they lived like 4 blocks away from each other. They were both, one guy was like 2 days out of a breakup, and he was just, heartbroken. And the guy was like, let's grab a coffee, and I was just like, that's it. That's what this is all.
That is awesome. I really hope we can get to that too. Like getting people together who feel like they have nobody, but they're so close together. That's awesome. I mean, it makes me so happy to hear that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that story, man. That's exactly the thing that we're trying to do. It seems like we're all so far away that, that may never happen for us. But I think, hearing little stories like that are great, because it definitely gives me hope that, those little connections are out there somewhere for all of us, which is great, man. That's literally the thing that we're trying to get for everyone. So
yeah. And that's honestly what I'm kind of envisioning with this men's group, is to build something so big. And even with the mental health awareness brand, is like building this web of connection of men and women that spans the world. There's a guy from Kenya that just joined the men's group, and it's like, yeah, man, come on in. And there's guys from Europe, and like, so you're in Canada, Chris, so maybe there's someone who joins in Canada and you guys can meet up, so that's kind of the vision, is to build, at least with the men's group, is to build something where people can connect locally. You know, I'm in California, but there's people all over, and they, just because I'm not there doesn't mean that they can't start something on their own. And that's one of my goals, is to do, you know, like hikes and outdoor, getting outside, you know, having groups getting outside. And that doesn't mean everyone has to come to Cali to do it. It's like wherever we all are, let's connect, you know.
Dude, that'd be so cool to do like a Zoom meeting where everyone's, you know, at the end of their hikes, everyone's at their, you know, their peak location, and everyone just does a quick little Zoom call. As like you know, you have 15 or 20 different groups in different awesome picturesque places around the world, just saying we love you and we appreciate you, man. That's so cool.
Yeah, man. That'd be a good like profile picture, like
Right.
snapshot of everyone on top of the mountain.
Oh, dude,
Different
that'd be
areas.
so
All right, man. Are we ready to kind of play this postpartum pals game?
Yeah, Daron, let's see what you got, man. You worked on something pretty special for us this week. Let's see what's going on.
Yeah. And the sake of interest of creating the PowerPoint, I thought it would just be fair if maybe you three play, because since I already know all the answers, just so it's more fair. How about that? I'll just kind of like moderate the game. Is that okay?
Sounds good.
Let's do it.
Get this up here.
Oh, wait. Before we go over this, are we using buzzers? We throwing our hands up? What are we doing for answers here? Because I have a feeling I'm going to smoke these other two guys, and I just want a clear gauge of how bad they're going to get
So
smoked.
cocky, Chris. So cocky. The questions are really super hard. I'm joking. They're not. Yeah, so whoever raises their hand, the first one, then that one can answer the question. So it's divided into different categories. It's 5 different categories. So whatever category y'all want to pick, or if y'all want to stay within one category until the full category is done, and then jump over to the next one, whatever one works for you. But whoever is the first one to raise their hand basically is the first person to answer the question. Sounds like a plan? So, all right, can everybody see it okay? Everybody can see it good?
Yep, I see it.
All right. So the name of the game is Postpartum Pals. I know. Original title, something I came up with. The goal of the game is to answer as many questions as correctly, and you want to make sure that whoever's the first one to raise their hand gets to answer the question first, and just try to have a fair and good game, and have fun with it too. Like, don't be so serious about it. If you get a question wrong, it's okay. It's just a game. It's not like you're winning or losing money, right? But have fun with it, though. Don't take it too seriously. It's just to kind of educate our audience. Something that probably most men don't know, that postpartum depression does exist for men. So it's something, just a game that kind of reinforces and answers some of the questions that people probably don't know about. So are we ready to start?
Yeah, man, let's get to it.
Let's go. All right. All right, we have 5 different categories. The symptoms, risk factors, treatment and support, stigma and awareness, and then coping strategies. So whoever raises their hand first gets to go. What category would you like to start, Alex?
Are we doing physical raise your hand or raise your hand on the thing?
Raise your hand on the, but what category do you guys want to start in? Any category?
Mario, what did you say? What do you want to pick?
Symptoms.
All right, symptoms. Okay.
Let's do it.
Symptoms for 200, 400, 600, 800, or 1,000.
200.
All right. So whoever is the first one to raise their hand gets to answer the question first. Sounds like a plan?
Let's do it. You gonna pop up the question or what? There we go.
So what are some symptoms of postpartum depression in men? All right. Looks like Mario's the first one to go. What's your answer for this?
Some symptoms of postpartum depression in men are anger, sadness, loss of motivation, low energy.
All right. That sounds good to me. Let's see if we can get an answer for this. All right. Fatigue, loss of interest in activities, feeling hopelessness or worthless, changes in appetite, or sleep patterns. I'll give you that one.
I think you nailed that one pretty much right on the head, brother.
Let's go.
Y'all got to catch up now. He's at 200 points. All right, let me go to the next one. Let me go back to the. Let me see something here. All right, what is the difference between baby blues and postpartum depression? Anyone can answer. Whoever's the first one to raise their hand. All right, Chris. So,
Baby blues is when your baby comes out actually blue. And postpartum depression is when you get sad after the baby comes out.
Anybody care to offer a different answer? Still his points for 400?
I actually thought that they were the same thing. I thought the baby blues were postpartum depression.
Yeah, they do kind of overlap. So let's look at the formal definition of it here. So baby blues is a common feeling of sadness, anxiety, and fatigue that many new parents experience after the birth of a child. Postpartum depression, on the other hand, is a more severe and long-lasting form of depression that can develop in some new parents. So before we go on, like if you have some, how was your experience with having a new child, Mario? You want to give us some intake into that and what that was like?
Yeah, I'll share. Not sure how detailed.
Doesn't have to be all detailed, just whatever, like when you was, when you first held your child in your hands, or maybe even after it, did you have any anxiety or anything like that, but just being a first-time parent when you first had your child?
Yeah. Well, starting with the birth, the whole process was kind of rushed by our doctor, and Oliver's mother was induced because our doctor was going on vacation and she wanted to get him out before she left, which is already like a red flag. And then he obviously wasn't ready. So 36 hours of labor later, they're cutting him out of her. And she is thinking that she's saying that she can feel them, like that she's not numb, and she's been terrified of childbirth her whole life. And so she's kind of like having a bit of a panic attack, during this. And as you can see, it's not really like the picturesque birth that a lot of people talk about. So the next thing I know, she's laying down on the table, puking into a bucket and just delirious. They pumped her full of morphine. And then Oliver comes out. And so that was the start of fatherhood for me. And, after 2 days of no sleep, that was the start. And from there, you get no sleep, so that is what rocked me. That was the beginning of fatherhood for me, that started it all. And then add in no sleep, for a couple weeks, and not knowing what the hell you're doing. I was rocked in it. That was plenty to trigger some postpartum depression. So I get like the little bit of feelings of sadness, anxiety, and fatigue, but like this whole process for me was just devastating. And I had symptoms of postpartum depression for several months after, our marriage fell apart because of it. So it was a lot, not what people really think about, when they think about the birth of your child.
Chris and Wayne, how was your experiences of having your first child? Like, did you experience?
Yeah, so mine was, it was rough for my son. Everything was okay leading up to the birth, but then at the birth, like we're in the hospital, and then we're thinking we're going to lay down for the night, and they're like, "All right, we need to take him." They're like, "What do you mean?" Like, yeah, he has like bilirubin and jaundice and all this stuff, and we're like, "What's that?" And so it's like something like my wife and my blood didn't properly mix, something like that, and so he was lacking. And I forget what it was now, but some vitamin D, pretty much. And so his eyes were really yellow. His skin was kind of pale, and so they took him and put him in the newborn ICU unit and hooked him up to all these different monitors and things like that. And that's not what you're expecting when the baby first comes out, and it was very traumatizing. So I definitely had some of these baby blues. And then we went home. My wife was discharged, and we went home, and the house was so quiet because we were expecting a newborn baby, and there was no baby. And so it was just like, and he was there for 6 days, which now it seems like, oh, it was nothing. But when you have a newborn baby and you're at home for 6 days, imagine my wife just gave birth, so she's dealing with all those pains and things like that. And it was very traumatizing for us. And so she definitely went to all kinds of postpartum depression. For me, I was there to support her. Luckily, I had time off, but it just didn't stop there. Like so much other things. Like he was allergic to cow's milk, and then he had colic, constipation, and he had like really bad acne and cradle cap. Like the list goes on of the things that my son had at the beginning of his birth. That it was just, it definitely led us into some of the symptoms that we're talking about right now.
Yeah, for sure, man. I can relate to that as well. I've got 3 kids. One kid I had when I was 17. That story, I'm going to tell that story because the way that it changed me as a father was pretty amazing. But so the whole lead up to this situation, I was having a child with a staff member from a group home, basically. I was sexually assaulted by this woman, and she was now pregnant and having my kid. I was at the hospital having this kid with her and her husband. All right. So like that Jerry Springer situation enough is, stressful and strange enough as it was. I wasn't allowed much access. I don't think the husband knew that I was the actual father. She did, but he didn't. So she was lying about it. So that whole fucking situation would just add more stress. And I was like in such a state of panic for, I think she was in labor for 12 hours. And that whole 12 hours was just like the biggest roller coaster of emotions I'd ever been through. And for me, I grew up without a father. So he left when I was 8 months old. And ever since that day, I always said if I ever was going to be a dad, I was going to be the best fucking dad I could ever possibly be, because no child deserves to grow up without a dad. Like, it's just fucking so wrong, right? So I remember sitting out front of the hospital, smoking a joint and talking to God or my dad, whichever it was. You know, I have a dead stepdad that I talk to frequently. And I was just like pouring out my emotions. Like, I don't know what the fuck to do, man. Like, do I stay? Do I go? Like, does this situation even make any sense for a human to stay in? Like, what do I do here? And the only answer I got was, what would you want if you were a baby? And I was like, fuck, all right, looks like I'm here. So I walked back up into the hospital, and it was about an hour or two until my son came out. And I didn't get to hold him right away. There was like some complications with him coming out. And, you know, the whole other dad there, he kind of got first dibs on how to care for the child first and whatever. And 2 or 3 hours after the child was born, I finally got to hold him. And I was just in this sea of emotions and bullshit and stress and anxiety and, you know, uncomfortableness. And I just reached out and I put my finger there, and he grabbed my hand and squeezed it so fucking hard, man. Like, I never knew a baby had that kind of power in him, but it was like he was telling me, like, hold on, dude, this is going to be intense. This is going to be crazy, but I appreciate you being here for me. And he was like, that little baby knew what the fuck I was about to experience. And he was like, hold on, brother, you're going to need it. And that squeeze of that finger gave me so much power. I dealt with that situation for 6 years, in that whole court case for 6 years, trying to be there for that boy. But that moment, that squeeze of my finger was the reason and the power and the fuel that gave me all the energy to do that. But I also suffered greatly from depression after that. And that whole situation changed me as a man more than anything has ever changed me, because of the depression. And it lasted for 6 years before I finally realized what I was going through and started to reach out and get help.
Yeah, so my story is a little bit different since I don't have any kids, unfortunately.
I'm sorry, Daron, I just want to take 1 second and just thank Chris for sharing that story, and just want to let you know, I appreciate you and what you did during that situation for the kiddo. And thank you, brother.
Thank you.
for sharing. Yeah, I hear you, man. That's
that really
that's
was
a
a
lot,
powerful
man,
story.
to deal with at 17. No, that's just, wow, it's remarkable.
yeah. I'm sure you're just stronger for it, for getting through it too. So proud of you, man.
Thank you.
It's a very powerful story, Chris. Yeah, so like I say, my story is just a little bit differently since, you know, everybody has kids and I don't. But I think when we think about the generalized form of depression, I think a lot of men suffer from that. And that's what, you know, maybe one man that doesn't have a kid like I don't can relate to. So, you know, it's been times where in my life where I had suffered from depression because of lack of friendships, just not being able to trust people, not being able to, be real and honest about, you know, the things that I was going through as a man. And I think that, you know, that depression for me was like, you know, it still happens now and then where, you know, I try to, you know, maybe, you know, go to therapy and get the help that I need. But, you know, I think you still, as a man, you know, we have to take on a lot, you know, have to work so much, have to provide and things of that nature. If you don't have a, um, wife or anything like that. But I think depression is real for a lot of men. And I want to keep opening up the conversation to talk about this, whether it is postpartum depression or whether it's just general depression at all, because we all suffer from it. And I think it needs to continue to be talked about. But postpartum depression is definitely real as well too for me. I think when people think about postpartum depression, they think about a woman having it after a child, but men can get that too, because if it's their first time as a father, you know, they might experience some anxiety of holding the child right, or being able to, you know, they may not even know how to change a diaper or whatever. So it's just all these different things that, you know, men can experience it just like women. I mean, obviously the woman has to go through.
Yeah, I think we all just shared, you know, three different unique stories about how each of us had led to postpartum depression, you know, after the birth of a child. So yeah, you're absolutely right. I think go through it too.
All right, I'm gonna continue for this game here in the interest of time here. So let's go on to the next question.
You want to throw up that meme? We can pick a different category.
Okay. Yeah.
I gotta get my numbers up here. Mario's whooping me.
All right. Which category?
Ooh, I'm gonna go risk factors for 400.
For 400. It's not clickable like I thought it would be, but I guess I have to just scroll through the plans until I find them. Yeah, it's a little bit differently than I thought it would be, but it's okay. Okay. All right. So whoever's the first one to answer the question, like I said in the beginning, they can go ahead and answer it. Whoever's the first one to raise their hand. So can relationship difficulties with a partner increase the risk of postpartum depression in men? Go ahead, Mario. What's your answer?
I'm guessing it's a yes or no, right?
Yeah, it's a either yes or no.
Yes.
Yes. You want to elaborate why it's a yes?
Yeah, I definitely had some direct experience with this, and the saying that having a child puts a magnifying glass on any issues that may be in your marriage or your connection with your partner is 100% true. And that is what I experienced. It was like when Oliver arrived, it really woke me up to so much of the dynamic between my ex-wife and myself. And it was like, whoa. So that, yeah, it definitely led to increased awareness, you know, because everything's on 10, stress is on 10, sleep is 0, you know. So like if there's issues and weaknesses, that shit is going to reveal itself for sure. So I would say yes, if there's any difficulties between the relationship, yeah, that's going to lead to a lot more risk of postpartum.
So let me add something to that. So for any of our viewers who may watch this, who are thinking like are in a relationship with a woman, who think like, man, I don't, you know, we need to have a kid to make things better. Please listen to us. Having a kid will not, most likely not make things better. All right, like Mario just said, everything's is a magnet, or everything's hype, right? When you have a kid, They said everything's on 10. You get no sleep, and whatever issues there are in the relationship, they're going to come out. They're going to be multiplied tenfold. So just keep that in mind.
Right. Mario, you are correct. Yes, relationship difficulties with a partner can increase the risk of postpartum depression in men. Stressful life events such as relationship conflicts or breakups can contribute to the development of depression. But yeah, I think a lot of breakups that men have is very stressful, and I don't even think they probably knew, because when you think about the root word of postpartum, it's after the fact. That's what post means. It's after. So anything that happens to you, any like trauma experiences or breakups, that's after the fact, and you start experiencing this depression. So that's what I want to kind of come across as, postpartum depression is after the fact. So you are correct. 400 points for Mario. He's in the league. I better catch up. All right. What category do we want? Or we want to just stick with the same category?
I want to do stigmas.
Stigmas. Okay. Sorry, I thought he would be able to just click on the link and it'll take you to it. And it did do that, but I guess when you're sharing, it's different. So sorry about that.
All good.
Let's see if we can go to stigmas.
Showing us all the answers, man.
Okay, so
I'm gonna start recording this.
Don't do that.
I'm taking
That's
notes
cheating.
now.
Don't cheat. Okay, let me get to the question. All right, so whoever's the first one to answer this for 400 points, they will raise your hand. So what are some common stigmas surrounding postpartum depression? Looks like Chris.
Wayne beat me, man. Wayne beat me. For sure.
You see you, Wayne?
Yeah, no, he was up there, man.
I can't see you, Wayne. I didn't see that hand go up.
He used digital hand, and it was there first, man. I'll give him that, dude. Yo, gentleman's game. I'm gonna have to give it to him.
All right, in the interest of Wayne, I'll let him go. But I did not see that hand go up, digitally or physically. So what's your answer, Wayne?
Wayne, where you at?
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. All right, so yeah, the first one is that you think that it's only happens to women, but no, men are right there too. We get postpartum depression as well because we didn't physically have the kid. We're there still raising the kid and doing all the other things that come with it.
Could you speak up just a little bit?
Yeah, so I was saying that it's not just the stigma is that it's just for women, right? But it's not. It's for men as well.
So what are some common stigmas surrounding it? That's the answer. I mean, that's the question.
I think that's his answer, is that it's not just for women.
Okay. Yeah, that is very true. So some common stigmas include the idea that men shouldn't experience postpartum depression. Like you said, Ryan, that is a weakness or a sign of failure, and that men should just man up and deal with it. That sounds very common. That sounds very like a stigma surrounding it. So I'll give you that 400 one.
Well, the funny thing about that one too is when you bring up, these stresses that you deal with as a new father with other new fathers, that's the answer you get. Oh man, you just gonna have to shut up and deal with it. And it's not the case, man. You gotta talk about it. You gotta deal with it. So if somebody comes to you and they're like, man, I got him stressing out. This kid's waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Talk with that guy for 5 minutes, man. Just fucking give that bro some space to vent. You know what I mean? Like, being a new father is probably one of the most difficult things, and there's literally no support. and when maybe some of you guys can speak to this, but as a new father coming into it, you're not treated like anything. They don't treat you like you have any value in that relationship. As soon as you're the dad showing up for doctor's appointments, you wait in the hallway. Even when I was about to have my kid, they were trying to make me wait in the hallway. You're not actually, you don't need to be here, is what they told me. I said, that's my child coming out of that woman. I do need to be there, and I would appreciate you guys treating me like, this is part of my situation as well. And the nurses did not like hearing that. They did not want to treat me like it mattered at all that I was in the room. And
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Is that we do need to be there, and we the whole man up thing. Like we gotta get rid of that. Like
Yeah, we do.
we all need some type of support. I mean, even me, we old days. Like,
You're breaking up on.
I was like, we're so isolated. I was like, we're so isolated from our families that we don't have that support anymore. So we need that from. We're not alone. We're going with whatever we're going through with raising the kids or whatever.
Wayne, where you at, bro?
Yeah, you're breaking up. I can't really hear you. You might want to stay closer to the microphone.
Well,
It just go
I
on.
I definitely have direct experience with the whole man up. In fact, there's nothing negative to be said about the mother of my child in doing this, but when I was struggling most and I was the most lost that I've ever been and the most depressed I've ever been in my life, about 2-3 weeks after my son was born, the mother of my child told me to man up. And that was fucking devastating because it's like, one, do you know me? Like, do you even know, like how I operate? Like I'm a very sensitive person, and like, it just felt completely like, it was like being blindsided by the person that you would hope could support you. And like, and it's not even that I expect her to lift me up entirely. It's not that. I know she was going through all her stuff, which is why there's totally nothing negative to be said. There's no judgment and like complete love and forgiveness for all that. But that is like the sentiment behind all of this, and I was devastated, like I said, from before he came out, but the moment that he came into this world, I was fucked up. And it only got worse after that, after no sleep. And then for everyone around me to just tell me to man up, that was the most triggered I have ever been in my life, because that went all the way back to my childhood from my mother and father, telling me the same things when I was very young, telling me, to man up as a young child when I had real feelings that I was feeling, even when I was crying, it's like the toxic conditioning that happened in my childhood was woken up in me. And that's what woke me up to all my trauma, is when the mother of my child at my worst, lowest moment in my life told me to man up. And again, nothing against her, but I have direct, very, very direct experience with that for sure, and it was devastating.
Yeah.
I want to go a little bit off topic real quick, not too much, but what Mario just said kind of hints at our last, it takes us 2 episodes ago with Jim, right, where he went through a situation that was very traumatic, with him in his wartime, and none of that really affected him until the situation with his wife, and that's when he got triggered, and all came to pass, where it's like it compounds and compounds. And so there's probably a lot of guys who are like, there's one small, it may seem small, it's like all of a sudden they have something that triggers them. It's like, man, why does this one thing trigger me? But it's not just the one thing, it's all the things come together, and it takes something to really like you said, a trigger to make all of it start to affect you. You know, so I definitely understand what you're talking about, Mario.
Yeah, it's that stigma of just being a man in general. That it's bad when you have society telling you man up. But
Yeah,
then
and it's not helpful. It only makes it worse, you know? It's like when you're already struggling and you're already depressed and confused and not knowing what's going on with a newborn baby, it's just pure suppression, you know? It's the opposite of compassion and love and support. It's like, shut the fuck up and like man up, you know? Like, fuck your feelings. Like, toughen up, get through this shit. And it's like, that's not how this works. You know, like I can't just force myself to do that. Wish I could.
If you do, it only creates this problem later on in life when that shit wants to unpack itself, right? Like you know, Wayne just mentioned that, like that a trigger event in your life, man. These things all come back. All of it comes back, man. Like you said, Mario, like the realization of you going right back to your childhood when your ex said that. Like that takes some reflection and some like real self-thought and like real work to figure that out, man. So I appreciate that you're on that path and can see that.
Thank you. Yeah. And that's what it
realize
takes.
something now is like a reaction from when you were 4 or 5 years old. It's so mind blowing.
Yeah, man. And that's
like you said,
and
let's come back full circle.
Yeah, and that's what woke me up, you know, to all of my childhood trauma. And luckily, like I'm the type of person that's like, oh shit, let me improve. You know, I'm on this like self-improvement, lifelong learning journey. But if you're not and you don't want to address it, like that's just going to put you deeper into depression, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, they do need to get rid of the whole idea of man up. That's not we're way past that. We're not cavemen and we can do it all. We're in the society now where we could talk about our feelings, and if a woman is allowed to cry, a man should be allowed to cry and tell how he feels without him being ostracized by anybody.
Yeah.
If men can cry, then men can cry too. Fuck that.
And that's how we change the stigmas, and that's how we make this change is we as a community, as a society, learn how to create that safe space for men and women. It's not just for women, you know.
Yeah, that's what we're doing right now. You're doing it, and we're doing the same thing.
Yes, sir.
Let's go on to the next question here. Any particular category, guys?
Just random. Just throw it out there.
Okay.
Hit us with some heat.
Oh, since you said that, I'll be your guest. Oh, you know what? Actually, let's see. This is going to be a good one. Woo! What are some ways that media and pop culture can help reduce the stigma around postpartum depression in men? I'm interested to see your opinion about this one. Anybody want to go first?
Oh, I'm all over this one there. I got my digital hand up and both hands up.
All right.
This what we're doing right now. Media and pop culture, social media, it makes a big difference in today's world, man. And it sucks to understand that that's how, you know, you reach people. But if you want to reach more people and you want to get your message out there, this is pretty much the only way to do it, to reach thousands of people. Like we have over 1,000 followers on our TikTok. I don't think I could get 1,000 people to listen to me rant about the shit that I rant about on the show. It just is never going to happen, right? But social media, I think, gives us a platform to be able to get this out to people. I think it can both do help and harm the situation. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of negative stigmas out there that just kind of get pushed, like the whole man up thing, like we were just talking about. But I do also feel a very big pulse of like getting better. People need to really get better. And I see a lot of it on social media that, you know, they're trying to push this. You can get better and you can deal with it.
When you say music also too plays a role in it too?
I
Yeah,
don't know
you're right.
so much
About
about
the music.
postpartum depression, but absolutely depression for sure, man. Music is probably, my number one go-to to help me feel better in a situation when I just can't get out of a funk.
Well, yeah, a few years ago we had the song Logic had the suicide song, right? And the title of the song was the suicide prevention number. I mean, so that was definitely, and that song resonated with a lot of people.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Like the content of rap, especially. Like I love rap, especially when I'm in the gym. And someone that comes to mind is Ace Hood, and he's one of my favorite rappers. But he used to rap more about money and women and just like kind of toxic shit. Honestly, like a lot of artists do, but now, his entire album was about like presence and elevation and consciousness. And, that's like the journey that he's on. So I think that music can have, it's like the content of what people sing and rap about are crucial. And that's the shit that we're putting into our brains, like for hours a day. So I think that can lead to some good change.
All right, you do that. That's very good, Chris. You're very right about that. Give you the answer to this now. So media and pop culture can help reduce stigma by portraying postpartum depression in men as a common and treatable condition, featuring men who have experienced postpartum depression, sharing their stories, and promoting resources for support and treatment. So, good job, Chris. But you're still not in the lead. Sorry. But it's okay. Well, you gotta get up there.
What are we looking at on time?
Do you guys want to do the coping mechanism one in the interest of time?
Sure. Yeah.
We can do this all day long. I don't have a problem, but we try to keep the show.
This is actually, it's actually really good to spur conversation. This little show, I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of work to create this. But I'm glad that you enjoy it. Let me get to the don't record the asters, guys. let me go to the other one. All right. This should be an easy one for Wayne. I'll just play it. Whoever's hands goes first, the same old, same old. So what are some healthy coping mechanisms for men with postpartum depression?
Go for it, Wayne.
Yeah, Wayne was all over that one, man.
All right. Follow the men's talk show on TikTok. That's a coping mechanism.
That's
but no, seriously.
Sorry.
Just a shameless plug.
No, but seriously though, like healthy habits, right? So one thing as a healthy lifestyles coach is that, I help people make healthy habits. And so that's one of the biggest things that help people change their life. It was, in college, what I studied is how to change behaviors and form healthy habits, because whether it's your physical, mental, emotional stress, right? There's a lot of things that, we kind of compound on those by having bad habits that we just picked up as a kid, or things have always been done that way. And so changing that, changing some of your habits, whether it's eating, whether it's finding good friends, or whether it's getting more sleep, something as simple as that. Or, we talked about in the last episode, you guys, about the anger, right? Taking 10 seconds to breathe before you react to something. All those things can definitely help with your coping as far as, when you're going through these postpartum depression circumstances.
All right. Yeah, that sounds really good. Congratulations.
I think I'll just add talking about it. Like having someone to talk to is huge, because when I experience depression and I go to the gym, you know, I run and work out 3 days a week and I eat healthy and I do all these things, it's like it's still not enough sometimes. So I would just add speaking.
Any thoughts, Chris?
I think both these gentlemen nailed it, man. Those healthy coping mechanisms. I think if you can change one small thing, it doesn't matter what it is. If there's something in your life that you're not, you know, stoked about, pick that thing, try to change it, right? And then you'll see this momentum in like, oh, okay, if I could do that, maybe I can jump on this other thing. Like I'm trying to eat healthy, but learning how to eat healthy at the same time is, you know, it's stressful and it's making me eat garbage again just because I'm trying to like, you know, I'm trying to learn what's healthy for me to eat, and it's giving me anxiety because I'm realizing most of the stuff that we consume is garbage. And it's like, you know, trying to change just a little bit so you can work on changing a lot in the end, right? One small thing. And for me, it's drinking water.
I hate water, Chris.
I hate it, man. It's like my biggest struggle to just drink one freaking glass a day, but to drink 8 glasses a day is like torture, man. I would literally rather get waterboarded.
I know.
All right, well, I can help you out with that right now. So, it's a myth that you have to drink 8 glasses of water a day.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
So all you have to do is just look at your pee. If your pee is clear, you've had enough water. If your pee is yellow, drink more water and keep drinking until your pee is clear. Now, if you're a person who works out a lot, now maybe Mario, you said you work out 3 times a week, so you may need a little bit more water than Chris does. Chris, if you don't work out at all, maybe 3 glasses of water and some fruits, maybe that's all you need. So all you gotta do is look at your pee and then you'll know whether you got enough water.
Yeah, but learning about if your cells are actually getting hydrated. And that's an important part is people drink 8 glasses of water a day, but they're not actually getting that hydration to their cells that they need. And a trick to that is salt. And I didn't know that, but 1 little grain of Celtic sea salt before you have a glass of water hydrates your body 50% better. That's crazy. You know, little small things like that, man, are so mind-blowing to me. But learning little things make a big difference, man. And 1 grain of salt before I have a glass of water makes it taste better. It makes it go down smoother. And my body reacts in a better way. I don't just drink it to piss it out in 2 hours.
I never
Actually drink it. And it's
salt and water. I never knew that.
Yeah, well, you don't put it in the water. I just literally put 1 grain of salt on my tongue and let it dissolve.
Okay.
And then I'll drink a half a glass of water and 20 minutes later drink the other half. But I've noticed that I don't end up going to the bathroom within an hour or 2 hours. It takes 4 to 5 hours for me to go.
Okay.
Which is
I never knew that. I'm trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
TikTok, dude, they got so many little tricks on there.
so like exercise, eating right, going to therapy, talking to friends and family, make sure you're getting enough sleep. Because a lot of people don't realize most of these topics that we talk about kind of relate to other topics that we talked about in the past, like PTSD, other things that we have talked about in the past. So it's similar techniques that we can find for different topics, but they kind of are related to each other. So just doing those things, I think, can really help with postpartum. But I'm going to keep going in the interest of time. So we got 4 more questions to go through.
Just want to add getting help, being okay with getting help is another one that men especially struggle with. And, you know, it takes a village is a very true statement when it comes to having a child. So another one that can help is like, don't be afraid to ask for help. It's a fucking big task to raise a baby. So
Absolutely.
That's all. Go ahead.
All right. I think Chris talked about this a little bit in our previous 2 episodes. So whoever's the first one to answer this, you should be able to answer this, Chris, as you was the one that talked about this. Can journaling be an effective coping strategy for men with postpartum depression? This is a tricky one, so answer carefully.
Take it away, Chris.
Yeah, I'm all over this one, man. Absolutely, it can. Journaling helps you to understand your own feelings, which is something that you tend to rush through when you're having a new baby. But two things that can benefit from this. One, you get 5 minutes to write stuff on paper. Okay, so right there, you get 5 minute break. Dads, take this. Every single one of you new dads, take this. I don't care if you draw a picture of a turtle in your journal, take the 5 minutes. It will help you. Okay, but if you can do more than draw a turtle and you can actually write what you're dealing with and how you're going with it. And I'm going to go one step farther. If you can feel comfortable enough to hand it to your partner, you and your fatherhood and your relationship will be 10 times stronger.
That is exactly.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Great point. What about if men don't want to do that? Is there any other forms of coping mechanisms that they can do?
I think we just went over a bunch of coping mechanisms, but yeah, like Chris just had all the good points right there, journaling and the stuff we just talked about.
I think there's one more question. Ooh, this is a good one.
What was the no? Can you go back one?
Yeah, that's I said no because I said yes and no because I was looking at it from different angles. Like, yes, it can help you, to process your emotions, but as you know, some men they don't really like to talk about their emotions, so that might be even more harder for them as well too, to just write things down.
Yeah, I think taking that a little bit further, like something that may help for men who struggle to express their emotions, like either a therapist or a coach, like a relationship coach or some kind of specialized coach can help you. Like part of the problem with men not being able to speak up is not being educated. And I've heard the phrase like angry, mad, sad is all a lot of men even know. And it's like there's so many more emotions. And a friend of mine is a life coach who specializes in relationships, and he has actually taught men, more emotions that they can use and more ways to speak about expressing what they're feeling. So I would just encourage people who struggle with that to get more professional help, whether it's from a certified life coach or therapist.
Also, too, so Daron, you're not absolutely wrong with that no, right? Because the first time you do it, if you've never written your emotions down, the first time you do it, you're gonna be like, yeah, this didn't work, right? And then the second time you do it, you're gonna be like, man, this is stupid. Why am I doing this? Like, I don't feel anything. And then you give up. That's what a lot of men are gonna do. Like, this was dumb. It's not right for me. Because they don't really know what they're writing, because like Mario just said, we weren't educated. We weren't talking about our emotions as a kid, as growing up. So if you keep doing it, it's gonna come with practice. For some guys, they may write once and they end up writing a whole book the next week, right? But for some men, they may write 1-2 word sentences, and it just doesn't feel right. It's because they've never done it. So you got to keep doing it, and eventually it'll come.
That's a good point. Some things may not work, man. You gotta be willing. If you're even just a little bit aware of what's going on in your life and you're willing to try some things, man, don't be scared to try things that don't work. That's fine if they don't work, man. At least you tried something, and that's huge progress right there. A lot of guys just focus on the failure. Oh, I wasn't able to get anything from journaling, but you tried journaling, right? That's a fucking huge accomplishment right there, dude. Did you ever write your feelings down your entire life? No, but you did this one time. That's great. Give yourself a gold star, move on, try the next thing. Right? That's awesome, man. It may not work, right? That's something we cover in this show a lot, is some things that may work for me may not work for the next guy, and some things that work for the next guy may not work for me. That's the whole point of this thing, is talk about it, share your stories, because who knows, man? Sometimes if you tie your left shoe before your right shoe, your mental health gets better. I didn't know that.
Yeah, man, for sure. And that's one thing. Talk about like a characteristic of being masculine. It's courage, and it takes courage to speak up, and it takes courage to try shit and risk looking stupid and feeling stupid. So like, you know, if you want to be more masculine, be courageous and try journaling, try something you think's kind of fucking stupid, you know, or like weird or might seem dumb. Like that's part of changing the stigma, is like, it is courageous and strong to speak and to journal and to do things that feel kind of different and silly, but that's what it takes.
So you talking about that. Imagine 10 years ago, right? 10 years ago, if we would have been doing what we're doing right now, we would have been feeling really dumb, right? Like to sit on the Zoom call and talk about our mental health, emotions and stuff like that. You're like, man, this feels weird. Right. Even myself last year, when I was trying to do my personal IG page for my health coaching, like I wouldn't turn on the camera and just talk because it just felt weird to me. Right. I just felt like, man, they're going to think I'm weak. Like, but no, it's just, it's something that I didn't have enough courage at that time. So now this year, like I don't have a problem with it because I've been doing it now. You know, you just got to try different things.
All right, let's move on to our last question, and then we'll wrap this up in the interest of time. Let's choose a different one that we haven't really talked about. Actually, okay, yeah. So what are some relaxation techniques that man can use to cope with postpartum depression? We haven't talked about this part yet. Anybody got some ideas of relaxation techniques?
Yeah, a big one that that I use is meditation. And meditating is so hard, especially when you're stressed, especially when you're busy, because it's like you just want to do. And it's like the ego essentially is just dragging you along on this journey of at least for me, continuing to do to get out of your difficult, stressful situation. But when I meditate, I get to this place of where if you meditate long enough, you finally can get to this point where you are outside of your ego. You're outside of this, I am this person and I have all these things that I need to do and all this weight on my back. And you get to this place where you can just be. And that is true relaxation for my physical and my mental bodies. So that's my biggest one, is meditation, because you actually get a break from being human, with all of these stressors and thinking that you need to do all these things.
Any man ever got a massage?
I can't do massages, man. It seems like such a great idea to me. Like, I'm like, oh, that seems like it would be nice to go. But when I got there, it was like, quick, relax, sit on this table and relax. I'm like, my fucking brain does not work like that, dog. not even a little bit, dude. Like, it'll take me a 3-hour process to get ready for a massage if I ever experience this again in my life, you know?
See, I had a different experience. It worked for me. Like I felt so relaxed after I got my body. Like they did my ankles, they did my back, they did my neck. I felt so rejuvenated afterwards.
See, it was a complete opposite for me. Actually, I had a back spasm while I was getting a massage done because of the anxiety and the stress of the whole situation. Like, I don't know why, man, but that whole thing, like, I went into it with such a, like, euphoric feeling of, like, oh, shit, I'm finally taking time for myself, boys. Like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna get some relaxation. And then my freaking back blew. I was on the table, and I was like, you know, the guy's like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, oh, great. Like this situation is really helpful, really bringing me into a place of Zen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was gonna ask Chris like about who you had as your massage therapist, because that could make a big difference. And the fact that he said, I don't know what to do, tells me that he was not right for you. And that's important, you
For
know?
sure. For sure.
Like,
Wrong practitioner, wrong situation. Absolutely.
yeah. And, like, more Eastern techniques, Eastern philosophies, and like Chinese medicine incorporating acupuncture, and you needed someone who was more aware of your energy, and they probably would have been aware of like how much tension was actually in your back and how to deal with that, so don't give up on massages, man, because like we store mental tension in our physical bodies.
For sure. And I feel myself mentally like at a place where I could accept a massage much more now. Like I'm at a mental place where like, I'm not uncomfortable around men anymore. I would feel comfortable taking my clothes off around other people, whereas like all those things were a situation before, like I think I'm in a much more comfortable place to get a massage, and it's something I'm willing to try again. But I think finding the right practitioner is a really good point that I'll make sure I put a little bit more emphasis on the person doing the massage.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that you spoke to it, just for anyone who might be watching the show, because other men probably feel the exact same way. And I also know that you're a really sensitive, intuitive guy, and so you need someone who's a little more in that realm too.
Man, I appreciate you, brother. I really appreciate you, dude. You see me, man, and I love that.
Yeah, brother, for sure.
What's your thoughts on Wayne? Like any
So,
recommendation?
Mario brought up another great point. He's been doing that this whole show. We got to get him on again. But so I had a guy who was Chinese who used to cut my hair here in the States. Now, for some people who have never been overseas before, when you get a haircut overseas, it's a bit different. Like they wash your hair, and especially in the Middle East, they give you like a little neck massage. I found this guy here in the States, and he would give me a haircut, and then he would wash my hair, then he would put the hot towel on my face, and then he would do like acupressure, and massage on my legs, on my back, on my arms, all after the haircut. And when I walked out of there every other week, oh man, I felt great. Like my whole body felt rejuvenated. Like I was so relaxed. Like I look forward to my time to go get a haircut. And so that was certainly a relaxation for me. And that goes to what Mario was talking about. Because he was Chinese, so he knew a little bit about the acupressure, acupuncture things, and about the massages more so than the person that Chris had.
All right. That was the last question, guys. So Mario came in first place, Chris came in second place, and Wayne, I'm so sorry, my brother. You lost third place. But
It's all good. All the information I got from Mario during the session, hey, I feel like a winner.
For sure. Congrats, Mario.
Everybody's winners.
Good win, man.
Everybody's
Good win, brother.
Because we took away something that was very important. That's all that matters. So what is your guys' final thoughts around postpartum depression that men don't normally know about?
Yeah, I think it's beautiful that we had a whole episode around it, and this is part of what changes stigmas, is us coming on here and being like, no, it does happen, and talking about just talking about the stigmas and what's true, talking about the truth is how we change these stigmas. It's like positive affirmations. You say like, I am loved until you believe it, because that's how you rewire your brain, and that's how you change your core beliefs. So I think us doing this is a huge step in the right direction, and just want to say how much I appreciate you three putting this together, and I'm grateful I am to be here. It's been really good.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And I would say that, you don't know what you don't know, right? So before I had a kid, I never knew about this postpartum depression or all that. But like I said, it's going to help a lot because there may be some guys who watch this who maybe whose girlfriend, wife's pregnant, and now they may have some understanding of what to expect. Where hence had we not done this video, maybe they wouldn't know at all.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. I hope that we do reach at least one guy out there who's coming into fatherhood or is just dipping his toes in the experience and understand that he needs a little bit of time and a little bit of space to be able to do this thing, man. Being a father is probably one of the most difficult jobs you'll ever jump into in your entire life. And you're not paid, you're not thanked, there's not a lot of gratitude, but doing it is the most important job you'll ever be given. And being a great dad takes a ton of fucking work, man. But your kids are worth it. And your grandkids are going to love you for the amazing job you do with your children. So put in that work, do the work that you need to do, be the dad that you need to be, and fight that depression, man. We're all here for you, and reach out anytime.
Yeah, it's been a great session, guys. We are going to wrap this up for today. I wanted to thank Mario for coming. We really appreciate you, brother. Hopefully you can come back on the show and enlighten us some more on a different topic that you might have in mind. But other than that, where can they find us at, guys?
Men's Talk Show. We're on TikTok, Discord, Instagram, YouTube. And also, don't forget to search for our buddy Mario, man, and that Speak Your Mind movement. Dude's making some great things, and that clothing is going to make a great conversation out there.
We're going to put all that in the description of the YouTube for you, Mario, so they know where to find you.